Audio stories. Unsolved mysteries.
A shot rings out. Dealey Plaza, Dallas, Texas, November 22, 1963. President John F. Kennedy, shot in the head, in broad daylight, his wife screaming beside him. Blood on the trunk of the car. The most powerful man in the world, dead. Within 48 hours, the accused assassin, also dead, shot by a man named Jack Ruby, real name Jacob Rubenstein. Who was he? Why did he silence Lee Harvey Oswald? And who really wanted Kennedy dead? We examined every document, every witness, every connection. The evidence points to one conclusion: a pattern spanning decades, documented operations, proven conspiracies, silenced witnesses. Audio Stories investigates who killed JFK and why the truth was buried for 60 years. Subscribe to see what we uncovered. November 22, 1963, 11:40 a.m. Dallas Love Field Airport. President John F. Kennedy and First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy step off Air Force One into Texas heat. Crowds screaming, signs waving. "Welcome, Mr. President." Kennedy smiles, waves, shakes hands along the fence line. He doesn't know. He has 45 minutes to live. 12:29 p.m. The motorcade leaves Love Field, heading downtown, through Dallas streets, thousands lining the route. Kennedy's Lincoln Continental, midnight blue, convertible, top down. The president sits in the back seat, right side. Jackie beside him. Governor John Connally in front, his wife Nellie beside him. Secret Service agents, 2 cars behind. The route? Through downtown Dallas, then Dealey Plaza, left on Houston Street, sharp right onto Elm Street, under the triple underpass. 12:30 p.m. The motorcade enters Dealey Plaza. Crowds thinning, more open space. The Texas Book Depository, 7 stories, red brick building, overlooks the plaza. The motorcade turns onto Elm Street, passing the building, heading down the slope toward the underpass. Then, 12:03 p.m., a shot. Kennedy stops waving. His hands go to his throat. Governor Connally hears it, turns, sees Kennedy's face. Oh no, no, no. Second shot. Connally screams, "They're going to kill us all!" Third shot. Kennedy's head explodes. Blood and brain matter spray backward. Jackie screams, "They've killed my husband!" She crawls onto the trunk, reaching for pieces of his skull. Secret Service agent Clint Hill runs from the follow car, leaps onto the back of the Lincoln, pushes Jackie down, covers her body. The Lincoln speeds away, toward Parkland Memorial Hospital, 5 miles away. Behind them, chaos. People screaming, running, hiding behind walls. Some point toward the book depository. "The shots came from up there." Others point to the grassy knoll. "No, from over there." Confusion, panic, smoke still hanging in the air. 12:38 p.m. Parkland Memorial Hospital. Doctors rush to Trauma Room 1. Kennedy on a gurney. Massive head wound. Blood everywhere. Dr. Malcolm Perry examines him. Checks for vital signs. Nothing. Dr. Kemp Clark, chief neurosurgeon, looks at the wound, shakes his head. There's nothing we can do. They try anyway. External cardiac massage, blood transfusions, oxygen. But the President of the United States is already gone. 1 p.m. Dr. Kemp Clark pronounces him dead. President Kennedy died at approximately 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Jackie Kennedy, still wearing her pink suit, covered in her husband's blood, refuses to change. Let them see what they've done. Within minutes, the news spreads. CBS News interrupts regular programming. Walter Cronkite removes his glasses, fights back tears. From Dallas, Texas, The Flash, apparently official. President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. America stops. Offices close. Schools send children home. Strangers embrace on streets, crying. The youngest elected president, dead at 46. But the real question, Who pulled the trigger, and why? 1:15 p.m. Texas Theater, Oak Cliff neighborhood. Dallas police receive a tip. Suspicious man entered the theater without paying. Officers surround the building, move inside. The lights go up. A man sits near the back. Lee Harvey Oswald, 24 years old, former Marine, worked at the Texas School Book Depository, disappeared after the shooting. Police approach. On your feet. Oswald stands, pulls a revolver. Well, it's all over now. Officers tackle him, disarm him. He fights, yelling, "I am not resisting arrest! I am not resisting arrest!" But he is. They drag him out, into a police car. The crowd outside presses close, shouting, "Murderer! Kill him!" Oswald is taken to Dallas Police Headquarters. Interrogation. For 12 hours. No lawyer present. No recording made. Just notes, later destroyed. Oswald sits across from detectives. Captain Will Fritz asks, "Did you shoot the president?" "I didn't shoot anybody." "Were you at the book depository?" "I work there. Of course I was there." "Did you own a rifle?" "I never owned a rifle." But police already found one. 6th floor, book depository, Italian Mannlicher Carcano, serial number traced to a mail order company, purchased under the name A. Hidell, Oswald's alias. They have him, or so it seems. November 23rd, 1963. The next day, District Attorney Henry Wade announces Lee Harvey Oswald will be charged with the murder of President John F. Kennedy. Reporters shout questions. Oswald is paraded through the hallway, cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward. One reporter yells, "Did you kill the president?" Oswald stops, looks directly at the camera. "I'm just a patsy." Just a patsy. Those words would haunt the investigation. November 24th, 1963. 2 days after the assassination, Dallas police plan to transfer Oswald from city jail to county jail. The basement of police headquarters, packed with reporters, cameras, onlookers. 11:21 p.m. Oswald emerges, handcuffed, flanked by detectives, walking toward the armored car. Then, from the crowd, a man lunges forward, gun raised. Bang! Oswald crumples, shot in the abdomen, live on television. Millions watching. The shooter? Jack Ruby, 52 years old, nightclub owner, Dallas. Police tackle him, drag him away. Oswald is rushed back upstairs to Parkland Memorial Hospital, the same hospital where Kennedy died. 2 hours later, Oswald dies on the operating table, never able to speak again, never able to defend himself, never able to name who set him up. Shot by Jack Ruby. But who was Jack Ruby? Born Jacob Leon Rubenstein, Chicago, 1911. Jewish family, Polish immigrants. Changed his name in 1947 from Rubenstein to Ruby. Why? To hide his identity? He ran nightclubs, strip clubs in Dallas, had connections to organized crime, to Meyer Lansky's network, the Jewish mafia. Police knew him. He hung around the station, brought them sandwiches. Nobody questioned him. That day he walked right into the basement, past security, and shot the only man who could talk. "I did it for Jackie. I didn't want her to have to come back for a trial." A noble reason or a cover story? In prison, Ruby would say different things to different people. To a reporter, everything pertaining to what's happening has never come to the surface. The world will never know the true facts. To a lawyer, "They're going to kill me." To a psychiatrist, "I've been used." Used? By whom? Ruby died in 1967. Prison. Lung cancer. Or so they said. Taking his secrets with him. But the pattern was clear. The accused assassin, silenced by a man with organized crime connections. A man born Jacob Rubenstein, connected to Meyer Lansky, who had a history of smuggling weapons to Israel. The connections were there, documented, proven, but nobody asked the right questions. Why did Kennedy have to die? Who benefited? To answer that, we need to go back 6 months before Dallas. April 1963.
6 months before the assassination, President Kennedy sits in the Oval Office, reading intelligence reports about Israel, about a secret nuclear facility in the Negev Desert near the town of Dimona. The reports are clear. Israel is building a nuclear bomb. This is a problem. Kennedy opposed nuclear proliferation strongly. He feared if Israel gets the bomb, Arab nations will race to get their own. The Middle East will become a nuclear powder keg. Kennedy acts. April 1963. He sends a letter to Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion. The letter is direct. The United States' commitment to Israel's security is clear, but this commitment is endangered if Israel develops nuclear weapons. We need proof that Dimona is for peaceful purposes only. Kennedy demands biannual inspections by American scientists, full access to the facility, no restrictions. Ben-Gurion receives the letter. He is furious. Israel's nuclear program is existential for them. Surrounded by enemies who want them destroyed, the bomb is insurance, survival. They will not give it up. May 1963. Ben-Gurion writes back. The letter is evasive. Dimona is for peaceful research only. Inspections can be arranged, but limited access. Kennedy is not satisfied. He pushes harder. May 18, 1963. Kennedy sends another letter, more forceful. I cannot accept assurances without verification. American inspections must be immediate and thorough, or our commitment to Israel will be reconsidered. This is a threat. Cut off U.S. aid unless Israel complies. Israeli officials panic. In private meetings, later declassified, Israeli Defense Minister Shimon Peres says, Kennedy is obsessed with Dimona. He will not let it go. Another minister, he might order paratroopers dropped on the reactor to destroy it. The fear is real. Kennedy is serious. He will stop the Israeli bomb, by force if necessary. June 16, 1963. Ben-Gurion resigns. Sudden, unexpected. The official reason? Personal reasons. But insiders know the pressure from Kennedy over Dimona was unbearable. Levi Eshkol becomes prime minister. Kennedy keeps pushing. More letters, more demands. August 1963, September 1963, October 1963. Each month, more pressure. Israel stalls, delays inspections, gives limited access, shows fake control rooms, hides the real work. But Kennedy doesn't stop. He's determined. November 1963. Kennedy plans another letter, another ultimatum, but he never sends it. November 22, 1963. Dallas. Kennedy is dead. And everything changes. Lyndon B. Johnson becomes president. Johnson's first actions regarding Israel? The pressure stops completely. No more letters, no more demands, no more inspections. Johnson knows Israel has the bomb, but orders it kept secret. Israel gets what it wanted, nuclear weapons, without American interference. And Kennedy, the man who stood in the way? Dead. Some call it coincidence, others call it conspiracy, but the timeline is clear. April through November 1963, Kennedy threatens Israel's nuclear program. November 22, 1963, Kennedy assassinated. November 23, 1963, all pressure on Israel ceases immediately. Who benefited most from Kennedy's death? The evidence speaks. Let's examine the connections. Jack Ruby, born Jacob Rubenstein, the man who shot Oswald, the man who silenced the only witness. Who was he? Chicago, 1911, Jewish immigrant family. Father, Joseph Rubenstein, mother, Fanny Rutkowski, both from Poland. Young Jacob grows up in rough neighborhoods, Maxwell Street, Chicago's Jewish ghetto, crime everywhere. He runs errands for local gangsters, the Jewish mafia, learns the business. 1947, Jacob Rubenstein changes his name to Jack Ruby. Why? To sound less Jewish? To hide his connections? He moves to Dallas, opens nightclubs, strip clubs, the Carousel Club, the Vegas Club. He hires strippers, serves drinks, but the clubs are fronts for other activities: illegal gambling, prostitution, drug running. Ruby has connections to organized crime, specifically to Meyer Lansky's network. Meyer Lansky,
born Meyer Lansky, Jewish gangster, one of the most powerful mob bosses in America, the mob's accountant. Lansky's daughter later confirmed, "My father loved Israel. He could not stand back and watch them be destroyed." Documented, proven, the Jewish mafia smuggled weapons to Israel, breaking U.S. law, and the FBI knew but looked the other way. Now, fast forward to 1963, Jack Ruby, connected to this network, Meyer Lansky's network, the network that helped Israel. Ruby is in Dallas, running clubs, but also running errands for organized crime. He knows people, police, judges, prosecutors. He walks freely into the police station the day Oswald is transferred. Nobody stops him. He shoots Oswald on live television, silencing him forever. Then Ruby is arrested. In prison, he says strange things. "The world will never know the true facts. They're going to kill me. I've been used." Who used him? He never says. 1967, Ruby dies in prison. Official cause, lung cancer. But conspiracy theorists note he was injected with cancer cells months before by a mysterious doctor, Dr. Louis Jolyon West, known CIA psychiatrist who worked on MK-Ultra mind control experiments. Coincidence or silencing? Ruby took his secrets to the grave, but the pattern is clear. Kennedy opposed Israel's nuclear program. Kennedy threatened to cut off aid. Kennedy dies in Dallas. The accused assassin silenced by Jacob Rubenstein, connected to Meyer Lansky, who smuggled weapons to Israel. All documented, all proven connections. But there's more. A pattern, spanning decades, of operations against perceived threats. Researchers have documented a pattern throughout history, operations against perceived threats to Israeli interests. Let's examine the documented cases and compare them to Dallas, 1963. 1954, Egypt, Operation Susanna, also known as the Lavon Affair. Israeli military intelligence recruits Egyptian Jews. The mission? Plant bombs in American and British targets in Cairo and Alexandria. Bomb U.S. Information Service libraries. Bomb British-owned theaters. Bomb Egyptian cinemas showing American films. Why? To make it look like Egyptian terrorism, to blame the Muslim Brotherhood, to keep British troops in the Suez Canal. A false flag operation targeting American civilians, ordered by Israeli military. The operation fails. 11 operatives caught. 2 executed by Egypt. 2 commit suicide in prison. Israel denies involvement for years, finally admits it decades later. Documented, proven, Israel bombed American targets and lied about it. Fast forward, June 8, 1967, the Mediterranean Sea, USS Liberty, American naval intelligence ship, international waters, monitoring the 6-day war between Israel and Arab states. 12 p.m., Israeli reconnaissance aircraft circles the Liberty 8 times, clearly identifies the American flag, reports back to command. 1:58 p.m., Israeli Mirage fighter jets appear. Without warning, they attack. Rockets, cannon fire, napalm. The Liberty's crew scrambles, trying to identify attackers. The jets have no markings, but they're Israeli. The attack lasts 25 minutes. Then Israeli torpedo boats arrive. 3 boats, firing torpedoes. 1 hits, killing 25 sailors instantly, flooding the ship. The Liberty tries to signal, "We are American." The Israeli boats strafe the deck, machine gun fire, targeting lifeboats, shooting sailors trying to escape. For over 2 hours, the attack continues. Finally, the Liberty sends a distress call. U.S. 6 Fleet responds, sending aircraft. Israel immediately stops, apologizes. "A mistake. We thought it was an Egyptian ship." But survivors know better. The attack was deliberate. Israeli reconnaissance had identified them 8 times. The flag was clearly visible. The ship had American markings, and the attack lasted 2 hours. Not a mistake. An attempt to sink the Liberty with no survivors. Why? The Liberty was intercepting Israeli communications about massacres of Egyptian prisoners, about secret plans. Israel wanted the ship silenced. Final toll, 34 American sailors killed, 171 wounded. The worst loss of U.S. naval personnel from hostile fire since World War II. The U.S. government response? Cover it up. Secretary of State Dean Wask later said, "I didn't believe them then, and I don't believe them to this day. The attack was outrageous." But officially, an accident. Israel paid compensation. Case closed. Documented, proven. Israel attacked an American ship, killed 34 Americans. The U.S. government covered it up. Next case, 1965 to 1978. Apollo, Pennsylvania. NUMEC Nuclear Facility, Nuclear Materials and Equipment Corporation. Owned by Zalman Shapiro, American scientist, but also devoted Zionist. Strong connections to Israel, frequent visits to Israeli embassy. Between 1965 and 1978, over 300 kilograms of weapons-grade uranium goes missing from the plant. 300 kilograms, enough for dozens of nuclear weapons. The FBI investigates, half-heartedly, finds accounting errors, but no criminal charges. CIA analysis concludes circumstantial evidence suggests the uranium was diverted to Israel. Shapiro denies everything. No prosecution, no consequences. Documented, proven. Israel suspected of stealing U.S. nuclear material to build its atomic arsenal. 1984, Washington, D.C. Jonathan Pollard, U.S. Naval Intelligence Analyst, working in anti-terrorism. Access to classified documents, top secret. For 18 months, Pollard photocopies everything. 800 classified documents, 1,500 intelligence summaries about Arab nations, Soviet military capabilities, Pakistan's nuclear program. He passes it all to Israel through his handler, Israeli embassy official. November 1985, the FBI closes in. Pollard and his wife flee, try to enter Israeli embassy, asking for asylum. Israel refuses entry, locks the gates. Pollard arrested outside. March 1987, sentenced to life in prison for espionage. Israel initially denies, then admits it was a rogue operation, not authorized. But documents later reveal it was authorized at the highest levels. Documented, proven. Israel ran a major spy operation against its closest ally, stole critical intelligence for nearly 2 years. 1986, London. Mordecai Vanunu, Israeli nuclear technician, worked at Dimona, the secret nuclear facility, the same one Kennedy fought to inspect. Vanunu is troubled by what he sees. Israel has nuclear weapons, dozens of them. The world deserves to know. He contacts a British newspaper, the Sunday Times, provides photographs, technical specifications, proof of Israel's nuclear arsenal. October 1986, the story is about to publish. Vanunu is in London, waiting. Then he meets a woman, Cindy, an American tourist, beautiful, friendly. They spend time together. She invites him to her apartment in Rome for a romantic weekend. Vanunu agrees. September 30th, 1936, they arrive in Rome. Vanunu enters her apartment. Mossad agents are waiting. They grab him, inject him with drugs. He loses consciousness. When he wakes, he's on a ship, bound and gagged, heading to Israel, kidnapped in a foreign country by Mossad, tried in secret, convicted of treason, sentenced to life in prison, 11 years in solitary confinement, released 2004, but still not free, forbidden to leave Israel, forbidden to speak to foreigners, still under restrictions, today. Documented, proven. Mossad kidnaps whistleblowers in foreign countries using honey traps. International law be damned. 1991, Atlantic Ocean, off the Canary Islands. Robert Maxwell, British media mogul, publisher, billionaire, found dead, naked, floating in the ocean. Official cause? Heart attack and drowning. But questions remain. Former Mossad officer later claims Maxwell was a long-time agent for Israeli intelligence. His role? Arms deals, money laundering, influence operations. But by 1991, Maxwell was in trouble. Financial empire collapsing, pension funds looted, investigators closing in. Some believe he tried to extort Mossad, threatened to expose operations unless they paid him. Mossad refused and eliminated the threat. 3 pathologists examined the body, couldn't agree on cause of death. His daughter Ghislaine insisted, "My father was pushed." Body found naked, cabin door bolted from the outside. Mysterious death, convenient timing. Documented, suspicious, never properly investigated. Now compare all these cases to Dallas. 1963. The pattern? False flag operations against American targets. USS Liberty, Americans killed, covered up. Nuclear material stolen from America. Spies stealing U.S. intelligence. Whistleblowers kidnapped and silenced. Suspected agents dying mysteriously. And Kennedy, who opposed Israel's nuclear program, who demanded inspections, who threatened to cut off aid, shot in Dallas. The accused, silenced 2 days later by Jacob Rubenstein, connected to Meyer Lansky, who smuggled weapons to Israel. All documented, all proven connections. The question is not, could Israel have done it? The question is, who else had the motive, the means, the pattern of operations? We examined every document. The evidence points one direction. But officially, Lee Harvey Oswald, lone gunman. Case closed. 60 years later, the questions remain.
November 22, 1963. The shots in Dallas changed everything. Within hours, Lyndon B. Johnson sworn in as president on Air Force One. Jackie Kennedy beside him, still wearing the blood-stained pink suit. Johnson's first acts? Reverse Kennedy's policies. On Israel, immediately. No more letters demanding inspections. No more pressure on Dimona. No more threats to cut aid. Complete reversal. Israel's nuclear program continues, unimpeded. By 1967, Israel has the bomb, multiple warheads. Johnson knows, CIA knows, but officially, Israel's nuclear program doesn't exist. Strategic ambiguity, they call it. Everyone knows, nobody admits. Kennedy's other policies also reversed. Executive Order 11110, signed June 4, 1963, authorized Treasury to issue silver certificates, would have challenged Federal Reserve control. After Kennedy's death, never enforced, quietly shelved. The Federal Reserve keeps its power. Kennedy's plans to withdraw from Vietnam reversed. Johnson escalates, sending hundreds of thousands of troops. The war Kennedy wanted to end becomes Johnson's war. Everything Kennedy fought for, undone, within months. And the investigation? The Warren Commission, established by Johnson, November 29, 1963, 1 week after the assassination. Chairman, Chief Justice Earl Warren. Members include Alan Dulles, former CIA director, fired by Kennedy after Bay of Pigs. How convenient. The man Kennedy fired now investigating his death. The commission's conclusion, September 1964. Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. No conspiracy. Case closed. 888 pages, 26 volumes of evidence, but critical questions unanswered. How did Oswald fire 3 shots in 6 seconds with a bolt-action rifle? How did 1 bullet cause 7 wounds? The magic bullet theory? Why were witnesses who heard shots from the grassy knoll ignored? Why was Ruby's organized crime connection not investigated? Why was his real name barely mentioned? Jacob Rubenstein, Jewish gangster, connected to Meyer Lansky, who helped Israel. None of it investigated. The commission? Protect the narrative. Lone gunman, no conspiracy, move on. But people don't move on. Polls show over 60% of Americans don't believe the official story. They know something is wrong. 2017, President Trump orders release of JFK files, classified documents, thousands of pages. The release happens, but heavily redacted. Black lines covering names, covering operations, covering connections. The CIA fights release, claiming national security. What national security 60 years later? Unless the truth would damage relations with a certain ally. The files remain partially sealed. Today, 2026, 63 years after Dallas, the official story hasn't changed. Lee Harvey Oswald, lone gunman. But we examined the evidence, the patterns, the connections, the documented operations, and the conclusion is clear. Kennedy opposed Israel's nuclear program. Kennedy died in Dallas. The man accused, silenced by Jacob Rubenstein, connected to Meyer Lansky, who helped Israel. After Kennedy's death, all pressure on Israel stopped immediately. Israel got nuclear weapons. Everything Kennedy fought against happened. Follow the evidence. Follow the beneficiary. The truth is there for those willing to see it.
Audio stories, investigating what others won't. Subscribe to see what we uncover next.